In the small town of Raipur, nestled between forgotten railway tracks and fading memories, lived a boy named Arman. He was 17, filled with dreams larger than the sky, but burdened by a reality that clipped his wings. His mother worked 2 jobs since his father had mysteriously disappeared 7 years ago. On the 123 Silvan Express, a train that left but never reached its destination. People called it an accident. Others whispered it was cursed. But Arman believed the train still moved, somewhere. On the anniversary of his father's disappearance, Arman went to the same platform his father left from, with a suitcase, a letter, and a heart full of unanswered questions. As he sat on the empty bench, the wind carried strange echoes, sounds of laughter, screeching wheels, and a distant whistle. There were no scheduled trains that night, yet the old clock struck 11:11 p.m., and the platform lights flickered. Suddenly, a low rumble trembled through the tracks, and to Arman's shock, a train began to materialize from the mist. It was rusted, ancient, but it bore the unmistakable nameplate, 123 Silvan Express. A conductor stepped out, dressed in vintage railway attire, his eyes hollow but kind. "You waiting for someone, lad?" "Yes, my father. He never came back," Arman replied, voice trembling. The conductor tilted his head. "Maybe you're finally ready to understand why." Without hesitation, Arman stepped aboard, though no ticket was asked, no questions were raised. The train smelled of forgotten memories, perfume, engine oil, and something else. Hope. Inside, the cabins were dim, but filled with passengers. All silent, their eyes locked onto the boy. Arman moved through the aisle, recognizing faces from town, people who had been reported missing for years. An old woman whispered, "We're not lost. We just took a different journey." Suddenly, a familiar voice called his name. "Arman." He turned, and there he was, his father, just the same as the day he disappeared, not a year older. Tears welled up in Arman's eyes. "Dad, where have you been?" "I didn't leave you. I was taken. This train is not what it seems," his father said. Arman's hands trembled. "Why didn't you come back?" "I couldn't. Time works differently here. Every minute outside is a year inside. But I've watched you grow, through the windows." His father pointed to a small frame pane. Through it, scenes of Arman's life played. His birthdays, school wins, his mother's tears. This wasn't just a train. It was a timeline. Arman stood frozen, his heart aching as he saw moments he barely remembered. His father gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "We're stuck in a loop of unfinished stories, Arman. But you still have time." "What is this place? Why are these people here?" Arman asked, his voice cracking. "This train picks up those whose destinies were interrupted, those not ready to leave and not allowed to return," his father explained. He gestured around. "They all have one thing in common. They left someone behind who never stopped waiting." A woman holding a baby hummed a lullaby that echoed eerily. A boy held a toy airplane, smiling endlessly. Each of them seemed at peace yet trapped, chained not by walls but by emotions too strong to let go. Arman turned to his father. "Then why am I here? I'm not lost." "You're not, but your grief, your longing, pulled the train to you. It's rare, but it happens." The train jerked suddenly, as if stirred by the conversation. Lights flickered again. The conductor appeared, holding a lantern that glowed with swirling silver smoke. "It's time, boy. You must decide, stay and remember, or go and forget." "What does that mean?" Arman asked. "If you stay, you can live this memory. But if you go, everything you've seen will feel like a dream. Only the love remains." Arman looked back at his father, torn between heart and reality. "I don't want to forget you," Arman whispered. His father knelt to meet his eyes. "Then carry me in your actions. Take care of your mother. Finish what I couldn't." A tear slipped down Arman's cheek. "Will I ever see you again?" "If you live with love, you'll never lose me. I'll be there, in the smell of rain, in old songs, in your dreams." The train slowed down, its brakes screeching like a cry from the past. The conductor opened the door. "This is your stop." As Arman turned to leave, his father embraced him tightly. "Don't waste your life chasing ghosts, son. Let the living feel your love." The door closed behind him, and Arman stumbled out, right onto the same platform where his journey had begun. But the train was gone. No smoke, no tracks, just silence. He looked at his hands, still holding the letter he brought with him. He unfolded it. Inside was a new note, one he hadn't written. "Thank you for not forgetting me. I never stopped watching over you. Dad." Arman smiled through tears. The grief was still there, but no longer hollow. He turned and saw the sunrise for the first time in what felt like years. The weeks that followed felt strangely peaceful for Arman. For the first time, he stopped chasing shadows and started living with purpose. He helped his mother with bills, enrolled in college, and even started writing. Stories inspired by forgotten people. But one thing stayed the same. Every night, at exactly 11:11 p.m., he waited near the window, listening for a distant whistle. And sometimes, he heard it. One evening, his mother found an old box while cleaning the attic. Inside were Arman's father's belongings, an old railway cap, his last diary, and a cassette tape. Shaking, Arman played the tape. A voice crackled to life. It was his father's. "If you're hearing this, I've been chosen for something strange. If I don't return, know I went willingly. Don't mourn me. There are things in this world that need believing in, even if they sound impossible." That night, Arman couldn't sleep. He returned to the station, carrying the diary and tape. He placed them on the bench, whispered, "This is yours, Dad," and turned to leave. But something caught his eye, a newspaper clipping fluttering under the bench. It was dated July 21, 1971. It said, "Train 123 vanishes with 47 on board. No survivors found." The conductor in the photo was the same man Arman had met. But how could that be? That accident happened 54 years ago. Then Arman remembered. His father once said, "Time works differently on that train." Suddenly, a memory hit him. On the train, one passenger had been humming a tune. Arman recognized it now. It was the same lullaby his mother used to sing. He ran home, heart pounding, and asked her, "Did you ever ride the Silvan Express?" She looked shocked, then quietly nodded. "I was on it. As a child, my father died on that journey. I never told anyone." Arman felt chills. "Was your father The conductor? Tears welled in her eyes. They said he stayed behind to help souls find peace. Armin realized then, he hadn't just seen his father, he'd met his grandfather too. The pieces clicked together. His family wasn't cursed, they were connected to something timeless, a bloodline of guides for the lost. He wasn't pulled to the train by grief, he was called. That night, Armin wrote a story called The Train That Never Came Back and submitted it to a magazine. It went viral. People from across the country wrote in, sharing similar dreams, sightings, whispers of train whistles in the fog. The Silvan Express was no longer a myth. It was memory. Years later, Armin stood on the same platform with his son. He pointed at the tracks and said, "There was a time when these rails carried more than passengers." His son laughed. "You mean ghosts?" Armin smiled. "No, stories. And stories are the one thing that never die." Just then, the wind howled, and far in the distance, a train whistle echoed once more.